Good day, viewers. Welcome back to the Preaching Humanist with David Oliverio. That is I. Sharing secular humanism. This is part two. Part one, I talked about my method, going out there and looking for every opportunity to share it with people. That is secular humanism, which is far above and beyond all religions and magical thinking, right? We want to share this, and we want to not hide it. We want to give it and let other people know that we're out there, we're growing, and the grass can be greener on the other side. So today I do want to discuss a different technique of sharing this with other people. Not only are there some of you that would prefer to go out and talk to people one-on-one and have debate and dialogue with other people, but there are different ways that you can collectively share secular humanism with others. If you're in a secular group, a humanist group, an atheist group in a particular city, and you're starting a new group, remember these things. If you want your group to grow, if you want your group to expand, you cannot depend solely upon internet dialogue. I am an old dude. Yes, I understand the beauties of technology. I understand marketing somewhat, but I still think we need that eye-to-eye, face-to-face interaction with people. Now, let me tell you about Jennifer real quick. Jennifer was a former client of mine. Her and her boyfriend, Brad, both atheists, kind of closeted. Christine and I have been out with them several times to eat. Wonderful people, and they are secular humanists as well as atheists. Jennifer has had to put up with my stories twice a week as her personal trainer. She would ask me, and all my atheist clients do this, they say, David, give me some more funny stories about your adventures with atheist and secular humanist activism on the weekends. So Jennifer's heard my stories and my passion for spreading secular humanism to others and growing these groups throughout the world as an alternative to religion. So Jennifer told me one day that she had visited her mother down in the Houston area, and she was at her mother's house and someone knocked at the door. And her mother's an elderly lady. So Jennifer got up, walked to the door of her mother's house, opened the door, and guess who was there? There were two young preachers from the local evangelical church out inviting people to their new church and Sunday morning Sunday school classes and church services coming up. And they said, hello, young lady, we would like to invite you to our church, yada, yada. You know what they do when they come to your door. What a beautiful opportunity. Now, here's what Jennifer told me. She said, David, I was scared to death. I thought to myself, normally I would just slam the door in their face. But then she thought to herself, WWJD. No, not what would Jesus do. She said, WWDD. What would David do? What would David say? Speaking of me. So she opened the door, and instead of slamming the door in their face, she said, well, actually, thanks for asking, but I'm an atheist, and I'm very happy, and I'm very moral, and I love my life. But thanks for coming by. Goodbye. And she closed the door. Now, she told me that moment that she felt this great relief and all of her fear was gone once she said that, and she felt really good that she was able to share this with people. People need to hear this. They don't know. They're lied to every Sunday morning about us as atheists, as secular humanists. We've got to show them. Now, let me discuss a few things. There are different ways to share secular humanism with other people. Now, those of you that never would go out to the Alamo with me and my friends, or up to Georgetown, or do anything with holding up signs or dialogue with believers. There are different ways that you can be effective. One way is financial support. All of the secular humanist groups and atheist groups, these nonprofits, need financial support. Christians ask for money all the time. They give their 10% income to keep the church going. to pay the bills, keep the lights turned on, right? And for payroll. We need the same thing. And if you're able to share, I'm asking you to find a secular humanist or atheist group, a national group, a local group that you're involved in, and share financially. That's one way you can support the movement. Another one, how about emotional support? Those of us that I would call the vanguard, those of us that are activists, that do the speaking, that go out and engage with believers, and whatever area of activism that you would do, it is always nice to have emotional support. Anytime I'm out there in the weekends, I'll have fellow atheists and agnostics and secular humanists come by and give me a big thumbs up. I've had people come by and give me a hug. I've had them come by and say, thank you for being out here. I could never do this, but thank you for normalizing that which is being demonized in our country. So emotional support. If you know people in your local groups, secular humanist groups in your cities, and you know there are people in leadership, and you know there are people that do formal debates, do things like I do, and go out, encourage them. Tell them you appreciate what they do. Emotional support is very important. Something else you can do. Here's what I used to do when I was an evangelist. I would go tell these Christians in particular churches, go out and invite people. It's old school. Simply invite people to your activities. Invite people to the group. I know it's old school. It still works. We cannot depend only upon digital dialogue. We must still pass out cards, wear T-shirts, and simply ask people if they'd like to come to a secular meeting, a group, a potluck, an activity, a meetup group, whatever it may be. There are people out there that are looking for this. And how do I know? How does this old preaching humanist guy know? Because I talk to people every day. And I run into atheists that are wounded, they're hurt, they're broken down. It's pretty sad, but true. I ran into a guy at a convenience store the other day. He looked at me and he was getting his coffee. And he said, boy, I wish I could be as peppy as you and happy as you early in the morning. And then we got talking, and he said, I would like to be like my grandfather once told me. And he made a comment that sounded very religious or supernatural. And I said, well, actually, I'm an atheist. And as soon as I said that, he put out his fist. He wanted a fist pump. I guess that's what they call it, a fist pump. He said, I, too, am an atheist, but I just left church a year ago, and he started dropping the F-bombs on Christianity in church because he was so hurt, so devastated, so wounded by the religious culture and the divisiveness in those places and the guilt and the shame that we know these religions can produce within individuals. He was dying, he said, and he was looking for a group of people that would accept him as he is. Folks, they're out there. There are hurt, wounded people. I would say the exiled unbelievers now, and even some exiled believers that would come to these groups. They would come, but it's up to us to go out and invite them. Do not be afraid. They will not harm you. I don't think so. They haven't hurt me yet. Even though Christine's a little frightened when I go out on the weekends, she's always afraid that I might not come home because some crazy Christian might shoot me. Highly unlikely, but it's possible. Highly unlikely. So another step would be simply inviting people to the groups. Here's something, of course, I love to do. And I've showed these signs dozens of times through the years. It's just simply having signs, right? Going out. You could do this. One of my favorites, of course, is my secular humanism, good without God sign. As you can tell, there's a lot of wear and tear on it. I've angered a lot of people with this, but also made a lot of friends. I've made a lot of friends with progressive Christians who are our political allies. And folks, progressive Christians are 80% humanist already. They're holding on by the skin of their teeth to religion. One day they might just come over. But right now we must collaborate with them. But go out there with a sign Of course, another one I do when we're out there in public places. This is a nice one here. This word really gets people fired up, but it also draws those people that have just left Christianity, the ones on the fringe, the ones on the fence that are just so close to letting go of Christianity and the other religions, but they need a little nudge, they need some encouragement, they need a friendly face out there to talk to them and invite them to the group. And of course, another one would be, this is one of my favorites, the keep church and state separate. I've got a lot of different signs. This one attracts people, and it brings a lot of people to the booth and to us when you're holding up signs. These are different ways that we can share the beautiful thing called secular humanism. Also, we need to have things called business cards. I ran out of my business cards. I don't know how many times I've met people out there from different secular groups when I travel and speak or here in town. They want to know, where do you meet? Every weekend. Hell, just last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I was at Lady Bird Lake with my signs, and one guy went out with me there. And I had this young lady come up to us with her 2 little children and her husband. And they had just recently left church. First thing she said was, thanks for being out here. We're fellow secular people. Where do we meet? They're out there. We need business cards. Wear your T-shirts. Wear your atheist T-shirts, your humanist T-shirts, the logo of your organization so people will know. It's time to be unabashed about our secular humanism and atheism because people are looking for this. They're looking for a healthy alternative to religion. One more thing, we must be proactive with these secular rallies. March for Science. All cities have the March for Science. I remember a few years ago I went out with the ACA folks, so we held up a big banner and sign supporting science, of course, and marching with others, and a lot of progressive Christians we meet. That's a good thing. We work together with them on other issues. Planned Parenthood, we can support them in groups together. Fighting back against the religious right in politics, and of course, LGBT rights and rallies and so forth. Look for opportunities. These trade show festivals and any kind of public festival that's out there in each city. Find out if you can set up a booth. Find free speech zones. You can stand out there with a sign, your T-shirts, pass out literature, and make sure and smile and put a happy face on because we want to normalize this thing. So these are different ways of sharing this beautiful thing of secular humanism. And again, why would you want to conceal this? Why would you want to hide the enlightenment of humanism from others? There's a lot of people that are looking for this. There's a lot of people tired of religion, and they want to change, and they want to get into something that is far above and beyond religion, and that's called secular humanism. I hope you catch the passion that I have. I'm going to continue with this passion and help as many people as I can and fire up other groups to get out there and share this beautiful thing. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.